We appreciate those that are here in person, and Meltrice from, I know this is possibly a record of the furthest anybody has been from Cuyahoga County and attend an audit committee meeting, so thank you.
Great, I love breaking records.
I don't think anyone's going to challenge you on that. I will remind you, you're fully participative in the meeting, but under our rules of remote virtual meetings, you're not able to vote, but you can, unless Mark tells me otherwise, you can fully participate in every other way.
Okay.
Correct, except for quorum and voting.
Okay, well then, let's, oh, wait, somebody gave me a gavel. I've chaired a lot of groups, and I've usually been given gavels on my way out the door. Here's one, the meeting is called to order. How's that? Okay, I've called the meeting to order, and Tom, if we could do the roll call, please.
All right, calling roll. Keith Libman.
Present.
Richard Molina.
Present.
Trevor McLear.
Here.
Katie Gallagher.
Here.
Okay. And Lee Tucker, alternate for Michael Chambers.
I think he'll be up.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks.
And we'll.
Am I not a part of the roll call because I'm not present?
I think you'll be recorded in the minutes as having attended the meeting virtually. I'm sure we can do that, but as was mentioned, not as part of the quorum. And I will note that Sal had told us a long time ago that this date didn't work, and although he was going to attempt to participate virtually, it ultimately didn't work out. But that said, nonetheless, we have the requisite number to be a quorum for the business that will come before the meeting. And the first order of business would be public comment. I don't see members of the public in the room. Would we know if anybody's
No one
out
reached
there?
out or signed it. in for public comment.
Okay, then let it be noted that there were no members of the public who wish to comment today. And then we'll move to the approval of the minutes of our previous meeting, which was May 29th. The minutes were distributed in advance. Does anybody have any corrections, additions, commentary? If not, a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
We can do this by voice vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Terrific. Okay, now we are going to move into executive session, and I'm going to try to be very precise about the language, so I'm going to read here. I move to enter executive session to discuss imminent court action and the employment and compensation of public employees. So that is a motion. Can that be a voice vote? That's a roll call. Tom, the roll,
Calling
please.
roll. Keith Libman.
Yes.
Richard Molina.
Yes.
And Trevor McLear.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we will move into executive session. I just announced that we're out of executive session. There's no roll call needed to come out of executive session. Okay, then we will continue with the meeting. And the next item on the agenda is old business. And the first item, well, I think it's just easier for me to let Corey be master of ceremonies as we go through a couple of these old business items. So, Corey.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. Sorry, let me get in order here.
The next item on the agenda was follow-up items from the second quarter meeting.
Yes, so follow-up items from the second quarter meeting are included in your attachments. There were only 3 items that were required to be followed up on. One's related to the peer review, the virtual meetings policy is number 2, and then number 3, co-sourcing audit services. All 3 of these items will be addressed during the meeting. I did provide a brief update in the attachment. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be willing to answer. If not, I'll address all these during the meeting.
Okay, next item then is House Bill 257, public meetings. We have discussed at several recent meetings the remote meeting policy. I sense that we were very, very comfortable with it. One item did seem to be a sticking point in my memory at our last meeting, which was whether or not we should increase the $5,000 limit to approve an expenditure in a virtual meeting. And that was considered internally since our last meeting, and it's been brought to my attention that the people affected internally within the county remain most comfortable leaving that at $5,000. Mark, are there any other changes you want to point out from what we discussed?
I just want to mention,
Sure.
during that discussion, we decided to leave it at $5,000, but in further review, based on the Board of Control's approving authority, we increased it to $10,000 just for that reason. That's where the $5,000 came from initially, but with the Board of Control approval being at $10,000,
Okay,
that was changed to $10,000. But I do want to say just on that topic that, I mean, the odds of the committee actually approving the actual expenditure, I don't think it's really ever happened, or it's not really the authority of the committee anyway to approve an expenditure. But I think just for the sake of the virtual meetings, ORC code and this policy, we should put a number in there, and so the $10,000 number is just there for us.
sorry for misstating that.
Okay.
Okay, it's a rather lengthy document. It's been provided in advance. Do we need to read this document as part of the motion?
No, I think you can just, if you're comfortable with it as presented in the packet, you can just move to adopt it as presented. It only applies to special meetings unless you need at least 72 hours notice. Unless a member objects within 48 hours, you can proceed with a remote meeting on special meetings. So I think it's a lot of words, but that's kind of what it distills down to.
So are there any members of the committee that would prefer a thorough reading? In that case, would anyone like to make a motion to adopt the remote, what do we call it, the remote meeting policy?
Motion to adopt the remote meeting policy?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any, aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, item 6C was to have been the 26-27 budget discussion and potential approval. I'm going to, unless there's objection, defer that discussion and approval to our next meeting. There is still some fluidity with the budget as it is being discussed between the department and various branches of county government. So I think we can have a better discussion when all of those discussions are settled. And I'm told there is not a imperative that it be passed at this meeting. So I think rather than having a lot of redundancy of having a discussion today and then bringing it back and discussing it again in our next meeting, we'll just defer it. I would like to propose in its place, and I think this fits under old business because we've discussed this from time to time, the suggestion that we make a motion to increase the compensation of the audit manager, Josh Alt, effective the next county pay period. The increase that is being proposed from the director, and which I will author the motion, would be a 7% increase, and that is approximately a $7,600 increase. Let me make the motion, and then we'll have, I would like to have more discussion, but let's just get the motion on the table. So I've moved it. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. A great deal of research has been done with regard to salaries of comparable positions within and without the county, and information has been presented to me that makes it clear that that level of increase is very appropriate. I'll ask if there's any other discussion. Corey, anything that you want to add?
I just want to say, first off, there's sufficient budget in 2025 to accommodate the increase, but I think just Josh's work ethic and actions and leadership here in the Department of Internal Audit is justified with this increase, so I appreciate the committee considering it.
If there's no other discussion, we have a motion. It's been seconded. All in favor, aye? Aye?
Aye.
And I will note I can ask if there's any negative or abstentions, but those qualified to vote today have all voted yes, so the motion passes. Josh, thank you for the service you have provided and will continue to provide, and I very much want to express appreciation for your attitude as we've gone through getting ourselves to this point.
Thank you to all. Just knowing that I'm valued is much appreciated.
Indeed. Corey, is there, given that we're not going to discuss the budget, is there anything?
In addition to what was discussed at last meeting, so I do want to mention I did talk to various audit firms as requested from the Audit Committee on outsourcing, co-sourcing services, and had great discussions, and I'd be willing to share more details on that when the time comes to talk about the budget.
Okay, I will notice we shift from old business to other business. We're within a minute of being on our time budget, so we have every expectation of being able to meet the scheduled adjournment time. So we are now under item 7, other business. First item being the internal audit policy update. Corey?
Yes, within your attachments, there is a draft remote work policy that's being presented today to the Audit Committee. That is attachment, that would be A-7.A. This will be to repeal and replace within the administrative policies of the audit manual, be a remote work policy. In 2024, the executive introduced a countywide remote work policy, which was approved by county council. So the Department of Internal Audit is requesting to adopt this policy, the executives, with a few modifications to be included in the Department of Internal Audit's policy. The executive policy allows staff to enter into a remote work agreement with their supervisor director for up to 2 days per week. Currently, our staff may work remotely up to 16 hours per pay period. The positions within the Department of Internal Audit are suitable for limited remote work. The remote work agreements for staff will be approved by the director, and the Audit Committee will approve director's remote work agreement. These agreements may be rescinded or modified by the director or the Audit Committee for reasons outlined in the executive's policy, which includes performance or accountability issues. The department will also adopt the executive's policy provisions related to equipment, worksite requirements, IT standards, and technology. By adopting this policy and replacing the current one, we feel that we incorporate enhanced enforcement, security, and performance measures. I respectfully request approval of this policy so staff can have the option of entering into an agreement with the director for remote work and really just align even our daily operations with the building that we work in with the executive's office.
And just to clarify, the motion as it is being passed today would permit employees of the department that report to you to apply for a remote work plan in accordance with the policy once it's passed. As it relates to the director specifically, you if you wish to, will make a similar application to the committee, and the committee would then consider that at a later point. We don't have that policy as it relates to you specifically on the agenda today. So I just wanted to make sure that nuance was clear to everybody.
Correct.
Is there a motion to adopt?
I just have a comment, please.
Sure.
So I would suggest the one thing that you take into consideration, instead of the 2 minimum staff physically present, which for your particular department, I'm not quite sure that's necessary, that you'd rather think about maybe it would be more beneficial for all of you to be scheduled in the office at least 1 day a week, so it's more of like a collective working together on tasks. That's just my suggestion based upon some of the policies I've seen the directors do. I think that there's some value into being able to cluster up together and kind of build the relationships, camaraderie, and ever kind of moving the strategic goals for your department collectively.
No, that's a good point. We actually, we talked about this a little bit on allowing for, at least on the director, my position to be a little bit more restrictive on things like that would be one, similar to the IG's office. They require all staff to be there for their weekly staff meetings on that day, which I would require the same thing. I know it's not written in here, but maybe that's something we could add to the policy, and not working at home 2 days consecutively. So not working a Friday, Monday, or Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday at home would be another.
I think Katie's point is really well taken, but I'm going to ask, would you be comfortable that rather than codifying that requirement, Corey's representation that's his intention? I'm only concerned that there could be a situation where some week it just doesn't happen, and now we've got a one-off that's violated the policy, and now.
Oh, so I think there's always going to be one-offs, and that's where telecommuting policies come into play. Like if you have an emergency at your house, right, and it's just easier for you to be home because you're seeing, that's where you use the telecommuting policy. And this is where it gets really confusing. But your scheduled day off is just like a consistent. I do agree it's going to happen, but those are the difference between the two policies. I was more saying it to give a little bit more flexibility, not mandating the 2 people in per day. So I'm okay with not codifying what I suggested, but putting that in, I think is going to limit you too.
What works best for you, Corey?
Mr. Chairman, the 2-person requirement, I think, and it is codified in there, and you can take it out so it doesn't apply to universally, but I think there was some prior expressions on behalf of the committee that visibility and access of other county personnel to the audit committee was important, and that was what the two-person in the office was intended to. Yeah, I'm just trying to provide the rationale behind the
Well,
two-person.
I mean,
And Corey can speak to it.
In fact, we could do both. I mean, the requirement could be at least 2 people and everyone 1 day a week.
Now,
I'm fine
just
either
for
way.
clarification purposes, because there's a little bit of choppiness in the conversation for me. Are these pre-approved days?
Yes, this will be part of the remote work agreement that's completed after the application from staff or the director to
Okay.
the audit committee. So yeah, these will be pre-approved days, or day, depending on what's being requested or accepted. And this will be part of, written and approved through the remote work agreement, which will use the executive's office agreement for this purpose.
Okay. So what I hear Katie saying is that there may be a challenge or an issue, or please clarify, there may be a challenge or issue if you deny days where it could preclude you from having everybody in on 1 day a week or blah, 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 blah. There may be some issues, and so we need to codify it. Is that what I hear, or am I mishearing here?
With the microphone on, can you clarify for Meltrees?
No, I'm not concerned about that. We could leave it alone.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, Mr. Chair, I'd rather not leave it alone and put it in here, only because I mean, we're approving a policy, right, that what Corey's saying here, but Corey's not always gonna be here. Like, I'd rather put it, I like the idea, especially in a small office, of having a set day that everyone's here. I don't care about the 2, I mean, we could keep the 2-day language but I like that idea just for knowing what everyone's doing, team building. I understand, with the exception that someone might get sick or there's an emergency at the house, then they can join remotely for a staff meeting. But I don't know, I'm just big of coming in the office, not working from home. So I would just like that codified in here. So in case Corey moves on, right, it's at least approved in the policy.
Is there anybody that's uncomfortable with adding the 1 day a week, everyone in the office?
Is that also in the county? I mean, what we're doing here, are we aligning this policy with the county's policy and then modifying it, or are we just aligning it?
Meltrice, this is Mark. We're aligning it and modifying it, tailoring it
Okay.
towards the audit committee, its operations. These requirements for, that are under discussion, 2 members at any given time in the office, or everyone reporting on the same day, so at least 1 day a week, everyone is there. And the non-Monday, Friday are deviations from the countywide policy. So the committee is deliberating whether or not to adopt additional conditions on remote work beyond what the county provides. And
And we
that's what the
could-
county policy contemplates.
Yeah, we couldn't, like large departments, it's impossible to have everyone, but smaller departments like this, like county council as well, I mean, that, I would like that. If there's no objections from Corey as the director on that, I think the staff and him can make it work.
Mark, you want to craft the language that we would add on the fly?
I believe there's a motion there. Stipulations. I would just add a 6th that no remote work agreement authorizes all the remote work agreements contain work schedules that includes at least 1 day a week for all personnel to be working in person in the office.
Do we need to say that that day is determined by the director, or is that understood?
I think it's understood.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion? Does the motioner and seconder accept the amendment? I thought we did. Oh, maybe we did. Oh, I guess maybe we didn't. Okay. In that case, would somebody like to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion. Move to adopt the executive's remote work policy with the addition that Mark comes up with for best efforts to have a day of the week where all staff are present, knowing Mark understands what we're trying to add, so approving that with language that Mark comes up with.
Otherwise, as presented in the board's packet.
Correct.
A second.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, noted that all eligible voters voted aye, and the motion is passed. Thank you. Glad to be able to extend that capability to the department.
Chairman, I'd like to add one more request for, just because we already have some approved days coming up, that there would be inclusion in a motion to allow for the current policy to remain in place until a remote work agreement is in place or until the next meeting, just because there are approved days that I've already given staff over the next month or so.
Right.
Just to keep the current policy in place until we come up with an agreement or the next quarterly meeting.
Right, this policy kind of sets up a framework to authorize remote work through an agreement. Until you get an agreement in place, there is no remote work. So I think what Corey's suggesting is that the current policy remain in place until it sunsets as with respect to any given employee when they sign a remote work agreement or the next meeting.
Do we need to make a motion to that effect, or is it just understood?
I think we should have a motion just to, that we're gonna run in tandem until the current policy sunsets upon the execution of a remote work agreement, or the next meeting, whichever occurs first.
So the motion is a motion to continue the existing policy
I would,
until the revised policy is adopted?
right, I would repeal the current policy effective upon the signing, yeah, here. I would move to repeal the existing remote work policy effective as applied to any given employee upon the execution of a remote work agreement under the new policy or the next quarterly audit committee meeting, whichever occurs first. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Would somebody like to make that motion?
I will move to what our legal counsel just said on that motion.
Read the paper.
Thank you.
I think I can,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, and, okay,
Thank you. I don't have to deny remote work tomorrow for anyone.
thank you.
Just as a general question, are county employees pretty satisfied with the remote policy? I've seen wide variations. I've seen some companies let internal auditors work from home every day. Others, you gotta come in one day a week, in terms of job satisfaction.
I appreciate the question, but maybe ask that
Okay,
later.
all right.
I think we,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to be mindful of trying to get through the agenda.
Okay.
And I think it's a great question, but maybe it can be done some other time. Okay, external audit update. Corey.
This is just an acknowledgement that the exit conference for the 2024 financial audit did occur on September 8th with Clark Schaefer. This was done in compliance with the committee's bylaws. During that meeting, results of the audit were reviewed between the audit committee, management, and the auditors. That included management letter comments, and again, I do want to report that there are no reportable findings in the 2024 financial audit. So again, I commend the executive staff, specifically Mr. Chambers and Ms. Tucker, on the work that they do with the audit and with the county. So this is just to acknowledge that that occurred.
Next is the semi-annual issue tracker report, which I'm sure is in our packets.
Mr. Chairman, I just ask, after this, we got a little bit of time, but after this item, if we can move to the last item on the agenda, or second to last, to talk through.
Would you rather we just do that now?
I gave, so Clerk Byrd was going to potentially attend
Okay.
virtually, so I gave her around 11:30 timeframe, so
Okay.
we'll give her a little bit of time, but
Okay.
just after this, we can move into that one.
Yep.
Appreciate it, okay. The semi-annual issue tracker report, it continues to serve as a valuable reference for tracking the status of audit recommendations over time. Earlier this year, the Audit Committee did approve updates to the audit manual, which included changes to how we report follow-up activity. Beginning with this report, which is included as attachment A-7.C, and I'll have on the screen as well. We will now provide updates to both the Audit Committee and County Council on a semi-annual basis, rather than issuing both a semi-annual report and an annual report. So departments and the executive office do continue to and has received follow-up results for review prior to issuance of this report, which that occurred over the last few months. We've also incorporated what we believe the most effective reporting metrics from the former annual report into this new format. In response to feedback from the committee over the past year, we've streamlined the content to focus on the most relevant and actionable information in this report. I do want to take a moment to thank Josh and the team for their efforts in compiling this report. I know it was a little bit more work to get to this point, and also diligently following up on outstanding recommendations. And I do want to recognize the administration for their work and responsiveness and trying to address issues in a timely manner. So with that, I do want to turn it over to Josh. He'll kind of walk through the report and then also highlight some key changes that were made compared to the last report. So.
All right, so by all means, please interrupt me along the way if you have questions on anything. At a high level, like Corey mentioned, the changes to the reporting process and structure basically consolidated two reports into just a single unified one. I believe the format combines kind of the strongest elements of both versions, eliminates some redundancy, and better aligns with what's been previously requested by the committee. The first page is just the cover page. It now goes beyond just tables and inclusion with the cover page. It's got content similar to the prior year-end agency memo, which provides context on the purpose of the report as well as the department's approach to the work completed. Pages 2 and 3, we tried to streamline some of those summaries and eliminate prior duplication. It basically just has 3 sections to highlight key information from the review period of the first half of 2025. The first section is the testing performed by engagement and assigned risk level. This includes 46 total recommendations that we looked at over 12 prior engagements. So of those 46, 15 were high, 25 were moderate, and 6 low as in regards to the assigned risk level. The second table was, I believe, a committee priority. It focuses just on high risk. The 15 that we tested, 8 of them were either adequately addressed, or we determined that it should be withdrawn. Those 8 thus will be closed and no further testing is needed. Now the remaining 7 were concluded as either partially resolved or not resolved. So those will remain on our testing plan for a future period to review. All right.
Josh, does the IT assets and inventory audit, those are for P1 issues?
Yes, they are.
Right? Does that require escalation? It looks like that's
Not
been.
at this time. That was kind of a unique circumstance. So with that, we had needed some reporting on the IT assets for us to go out and actually do the testing. It took a little bit of time to get those reports. We didn't actually get them until June 30th, right at the end of this reporting period. So we kind of concluded as not resolved. However, normally we would wait a year to follow up on the testing, but in this particular circumstance, because they did get them to us at that point in time, we're moving to do it this quarter. So
Okay. So
even though
you
we're
have what
considering
you
it not
need.
resolved for
Okay.
purposes of our schedule,
Okay.
we're gonna move it forward soon.
Okay, but they've given you what you need to resolve.
They have,
Okay.
we determined that we need a little bit more information. We're waiting on that from them,
Okay.
but, I believe should be coming soon. Recommendations we have here. Second, or most of these follow-up attempt on
Mhm.
this review, and it's a pretty detailed review too, just because.
Okay. Okay.
After this follow-up, depending on how it goes, then we discuss with the auditor.
Okay.
Right. So the third section, it's basically the same as that second section, except it includes all risk levels assigned. So it's not just high, it's also moderates and the lows that we reviewed. It summarizes the total 46 that we tested, of which 31, so about 2/3, were concluded as fully resolved, and thus those will be closed. Again, all those included as partially or not resolved will receive additional follow-up at this point in time. Go. Then it moves on to, the report moves on to the appendixes. Appendix A provides the details of the testing on individual recommendations, including a summary of the work that we performed. It's organized differently than it has been in the past. It's now in sections based on priority level, so that all the high-risk results, you can see the details there. And then it moves on to a moderate and low section further on. I do want to note one important change here, that since this is the first time going through the new process as far as count or number of times we follow up on an issue, follow-up count. Further discussion that needs to be had with. Go. Right, so Appendix B, it's basically just a current status of the issue tracker as a whole for us. So it shows all the prior reports, including the original recommendation count from the original report, as well as how many are still open. And it's sorted by, again, engagement as well as assigned risk level. And then Appendix C is basically just a reference chart documenting what criteria we use for assigning risk level to recommendations.
I just have one question on your first criteria, financially, material loss or potential loss. Do you have a dollar amount that you keep in mind to distinguish P1 from P2?
I personally work from the state auditor's office, whatever we're auditing, whole budget or 10% of whatever fund they're using. That's typically. Considering the 7% for material.
Mhm. Would, again, is that something you'd want to put in there, generally? You're
It's a
looking
good suggestion,
at
just to
that?
have that in there. Yeah, I like that.
Under the idea that maybe you won't be here forever?
I know, yeah, apparently I'm not.
None of us will be here forever.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Rich. Okay.
Because all the other ones are totally, I think, make a lot of sense.
Are there any other questions? Again, since this is the first time going through the newly revised reporting process, future meetings, we may get into more discussion on actual recommendations if they have if they
Yeah,
hit that 2 or 3 count.
I appreciate the new format. It makes what really is the reason we're here much more understandable. I second your hope that in future meetings we can actually spend a little bit more time specifically on what some of the items are. I think that would be helpful to the committee to understand some of the issues you're encountering, and as well as to perhaps highlight and speed things along. So maybe we'll have an agenda one of these days that is less full of things that are the process of the committee and whatnot, and a little more ability to focus on what we're doing with our, what I'll call our clients to help benefit the taxpayers of the county. Okay, anything else? Okay, so we are going to jump ahead on the agenda to item 7G, released reports, and this is relative to the clerk of courts. And Corey?
Yes, thank you. I'm actually going to add in, oh, yes, I'm going to add in Clerk Bird. She's going to be attending virtually. Hello, Clerk Bird, are you able to hear us?
Hi there, I am. Thank you for accommodating me.
Thanks for attending. Okay, so beginning with the first quarter meeting of this year, we did begin providing a summary of key highlights from each audit reports that were released between quarterly meetings. During these presentations, we will cover the audit scope, key findings and recommendations, and then management action plans to address identified issues. For today's meeting, we'll be presenting the results of the Clerk of Courts audit, which was released on August 8th of this year. I'd like to welcome Mike Smotek from the clerk's office here in person, and also Clerk Nyla Bird, who is joining us virtually. Thank you for both being here today and for your time and cooperation during the audit as well. The primary objectives of this audit were to evaluate the effectiveness, let me pull up this report, I apologize. The effectiveness of the policies and procedures and controls that are in place related to the collection and remittance of bonds, court costs, and filing fees. The second objective was to address the adequacy of controls supporting the timely enforcement of court actions in cases of non-payment. While we did identify that there were some recurring issues from our 2013 audit, we also did note significant improvements in certain areas, particularly to cash collection controls, which was an area of concern in the past. And again, this was 12 years ago when we last did the audit. For example, the clerk's office does do a weekly random audits of cashier drawers, which is a strong control that's in place. Just for a little bit of context, I do want to add in 2024, the clerk's office processed over $41 million in court fees and more than 38,000 court filings. Our audit included revenue testing, which we reviewed internal controls, segregations of duties related to collections, reconciliations, deposits, cashier voids. We also included disbursement testing in our audit. We examined issued checks and unapplied funds to determine whether they were appropriately handled or should have been dispersed based on court actions. I do want to specifically mention a few key findings in the report that the clerk office may be able to provide the committee with an update today. The first finding in the report, which I will on the screen here, is related to the clerk's office book balance. Out of the $45 million held in the clerk's bank account at the end of 2024, the court did not have a system-generated report to support approximately $26 million of that balance. The remaining $19 million was supported by system reports showing foreclosure balances and deposits not yet applied to costs. The revised code and government auditing standards do require the clerk to keep a full accounting of all amounts held in trust or pending distribution, since it is a custodial fund of the county. We advise the clerk's office to work with their case management system vendor to develop or enhance system-generated reports that clearly support the book balance in this case. The next two findings in the report, similar in nature. We did identify unapplied funds on deposits that should have been either applied to case balances or refunded. As of December 2024, there were approximately 3.7 million unapplied funds across more than 59,000 cases. We also identified 87 closed cases from 2023 and 214 closed cases in 2024 that still may require billing, but the current system does lack the reporting capabilities to efficiently identify where costs exceed deposits. It is also important to note with this finding that some of these cases may be still under appeal or have valid reasons to remain open. It's one of those things where just more research needs to be done on it, but I do want to note that even though there's 87 closed cases and 214 over the last 2 years, that some of them may have valid reasons to be open. It's just that there's not due to limitations to the system, it's hard to pull out, or you cannot generate reports that show what cases need to go back and be researched. So it's a lot of resources and time that's needed to go back and research these cases that the clerk's office doesn't currently have. But I am pleased to report that 4 of our recommendations were implemented before the final report was issued. We do appreciate the clerk's responsiveness and commitment to improve on some of these findings that we identified. And I do also want to recognize Jeremy, Tiana, and Josh for their work on this audit as well. So with that, I just wanted to go over a few of the findings in there, and if there's any questions from the committee or any follow-up or response from the clerk's office, now's the time.
With regard to the $26 million of funds that were unapplied, is that the correct term?
I think it's a
Not
combination of-
identified as to the matters to which they pertained. At the end of the day, I suspect much of that is likely through the ordinary course of business to be identified, but there's likely to be a residual that isn't. Are there any policies in place, time periods or what have you, that if there are any long-term unidentified, unapplied balances that as to what the disposition is? And I'm going to say something I hope never to say in Audit Committee again. It took us many, many years to resolve the outstanding check issues and finally repatriate dollars where they belong. What will happen in this instance?
I'll let Mike or Clerk Byrd respond to it as well, but from what we saw, I mean, the 26 million, even the unapplied is noted in here as well, that dollar amount. They're in the system. It's just pulling out what cases that they apply to be able to research it and having the time to go back and do that. It just was our recommendation. Can you find a way to generate a report or a screen or something that allows you to go
My
back?
question goes less to the reporting as to what ultimately might happen to dollars that are being held that may not find their way back to where they were intended based on how they got deposited.
Yeah, so on the unapplied funds side, which you can clearly see based on the report that they do have, is that those are deposits that are already on hand that just need to be applied to certain cases. So those should be potentially dispersed if the case is over. But there could be many reasons why it is sitting there. It just needs to be further
Right, but the
researched.
expectation would be given enough time and resources to research, that there will not be a unreconciled residual that sits forever unused and.
Correct, yes.
in
There'll
those
always be a
accounts.
bank balance. There's just having the
No, I
support to
understand
show,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
That's correct. Am I saying that right, Mike, or is there anything you want to add?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, it's, yeah.
Oh, yeah, please.
ML Treese is trying to listen there.
All right, Mike Smotek with the clerk's office. So at any given time, we have approximately 100,000 pending cases. So as those go final, more are being filed. So we apply them out as they go final, bill them, refund, but we're always going to have a balance of roughly $20 to $25 million in the bank.
And I believe, Mike, I know this is 2024 numbers, but there's been work done on the foreclosure side.
Correct. We're
To
currently
dwindle down
working with, we're working with the court and prosecutor to transfer excess funds held on foreclosure cases over to the treasurer's office. For years, we were ordered by the court to hold those until further order, but that's recently changed, and now we're working on getting those funds over to the treasurer.
Right.
That's going to take a big chunk out of that bank account.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions with regard to the Clerk of Court's report? Okay, well, thanks to the representatives in person and virtually for helping the department in its audit process and in pursuing so diligently the resolution of the matters. Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, we'll move back.
Thank you both.
Thank
Thank you, Corey and others.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll back to now item 7D, the 2026 external assessment proposals. Corey?
All right. So following the second quarter meeting, we did meet with the Institute of Internal Auditors Quality Service Division and requested a proposal for a peer review to be done in 2026. The IAA submitted 2 proposals to internal audit, one being the self-assessment with independent validation for $22,000, and 2 being a full external quality assessment proposal for $29,000. The full peer review proposal is attached as A-7.D. The most recent proposed 2026 budget does include sufficient funds to cover the full peer review. And after consideration of both proposals, we do believe the estimated hours required for the self-assessment compared to the full assessment are significant and will cut into at least half, if not a full audit engagement, which will cut into our value-added services as well. So this will be the first peer review under the new IAA standards as well, making a full assessment more effective and efficient for our department. I think the self-assessment would be something to consider in the future. I just think with the brand new standards, our first external quality assessment proposal, or our first external peer review, that bringing in the professionals, the CIAs of IAA would be the most effective and efficient way for our department, and potentially considering a self-assessment to be done 5 years from now. I also want to note with the full assessment, it does include free access to premium IAA services and resources like benchmarking tools that we can utilize and publications, so I think that would be a good benefit. I do respectfully request the committee approve to proceed with the full external assessment. Where this is consistent with the approach that was taken in 2021 with that peer review. Approval from the committee would allow us to move forward with the county's procurement process, which also requires Board of Control approval. And again, this would be part of 2026. So we'll go through this process, assuming a budget approval through the executive's office and the county council is there for next year.
Any questions for Corey? Sure.
Corey, does the proposal include coming to Audit Committee for presentation on
Yes,
their findings? Okay. And then
yes, we
is
did
the-
specifically ask that question.
Is the timeline represented in their proposal, the timeline you think you're gonna start in April and finish in July? Is that,
Yes, that's what we would shoot for. I'm getting to that timeline too. Yeah, because we asked for specifically to have this done prior to, it would be 10/1 of '26 would be the date of the 5-year period. So this is getting the timeline started in plenty of time to have that done.
Okay,
I
the
definitely
motion,
agree with your recommendation, Corey.
there a motion to approve the request?
Motion to approve the proposal submitted by IIA for the qualified internal review.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And we'll note the motion passed, so
Thank you.
that's great. I'm sure it will be a fabulous process. 2026 risk assessment.
The next two items on the agenda here, 2026 risk assessment and the update on the county's ERM plan. I didn't provide any attachments, so just want to note that first. But just wanted to give updates on these processes and answer any questions from the committee. Both of these agenda items I have included in my monthly update to the committee too, so I'll continue to do that. With the 2026 risk assessment, we've made several enhancements to this year's risk assessment process, building on the feedback from the last peer review that was conducted in 2021 and review of our own past practices. So we've taken a lot of time at the beginning of this year to really discuss and make some changes that will benefit not only the department, but the county in the future. Our primary goals with this process was to incorporate functional units that was recommended by the peer review team, and to eliminate any duplicative questions to streamline the process with even the departments. We updated the auditable units by adding new departments and separately identifying functional units. The revised structure on the department side of things is about 69 auditable units, which has come down from about 77. And that's within the organizational hierarchy that we typically present to the audit committee every year. There are 16 risk factors to score for each unit. I did provide a handout in front of you, just so you have it, of the risk factors that we will be scoring this year and moving forward. Similar to past years, there were some risk factors that we did combine together and create different questions for. We added a couple risk factors. The traditional department level risk assessment continues to use questionnaires, so we still are sending out questionnaires to all departments. New with this year, and we try to do every 5 years, is we try to meet with departments in person. We did identify 21 departments this year to meet with in person. The methodology we used on that is that they are either new to the county over the last year or so, or we have not done any type of auditing or reviews in the last 5 years. In response to the peer review recommendations, we did identify 37 functional units. There's also a handout in front of you of those 37 that we'll be evaluating. They'll be evaluated using surveys sent to upper management, which will be in the next coming weeks. It'll be a survey of approximately 5 to 7 questions that we'll ask of department directors that we haven't had to sit down in person with, and chiefs and deputy chiefs. The purpose of separating out into functional units from departments is really just to identify system-wide risks that may not be visible at the department level. This approach also may help us to detect trends, both negative and positive, across county operations. And again, as this is our first year using this model on the functional side of things, this list of units may evolve over time. And this will be, again, reported to the committee at the fourth quarter meeting along with our risk assessment report, so you'll get a better idea of how this is structured in planning for our 2026 audit plan. So I just wanted to provide an update on what you're expecting to see from the Audit Committee.
Okay, it's helpful.
And I do want to thank Rich. I know a couple months ago, he got on a call with us to talk through some of these functional units, so I appreciate your advice and review of that.
We do have a real bona fide resource, so and Rich and I appreciate the time that you've devoted. Thank you.
You guys did a good job with your risks.
All right.
All right, why don't you, just keep rolling.
I'll move on.
We're trying to
Okay.
get people out.
Sorry. Okay, the next item, I'll keep this short just because it is, again, an update. I noted in recent monthly updates, the county's risk management team issued an RFP for professional services to establish a countywide enterprise risk management program. This initiative, I believe, is much needed and long overdue to help the county effectively manage strategic and significant risks going forward. Implementing a successful ERM program does present operational challenges, particularly in allocating enough resources and staff. Executive and department level support is critical to the success, which I think getting to this point with the RFP, through the RFP process is crucial. A well-structured ERM program will help align county operations with broader goals and strategic objectives going forward. The RFP did receive 10 responses, which includes proposals from several well-known national firms. I am planning to serve on the evaluation committee more as an advisory role, in a capacity more as an advisor. The evaluation committee includes a cross-section of department leaders, which reflects the countywide effort of this initiative. Vendor interviews are expected to take place next week, and I will continue to keep the audit committee informed of the process as we move forward. So we'll get more information next week on what these bids and proposals look like. And again, I want to call out Rich. I know he has been also helpful in this process, and it may even sit in on some interviews next week.
Yeah, the one thing is, Corey, I think on your independent assessment, there'll be some discussion about lack of a formalized ERM program, but, that's just something they're gonna hit on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I believe it was last time too.
was it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Well, thank you for the resource you're providing to the process through your presence and Rich, yours. I think, under the heading of user-friendly department, which you're trying to promote throughout the county, I think participating on the front end is valuable rather than always finding fault on the back end. So that's great. Okay, we have already done the clerk of court's presentation. So let's move on to the 2025 audit plan and our status.
Yes, status of current engagements. So I'm actually going to turn this over to Josh to walk through he'll walk through the 2025 audit plan, the BVA, any updates on current engagements, and then for the first time, we would like to just provide some preliminary results related to our continuing monitoring efforts.
All right. So again, please feel free to interrupt me along the way with questions. The report in your packet is the same report that Corey had provided in the last monthly update. A new version obviously will come in early October. At the top of the two tables are completed engagements. The first three we've actually talked about. It basically just kind of summarizes budget versus actual. The new addition there is clerk of courts that was discussed earlier. There was a significant budget hour difference there. A couple factors that kind of contributed to that was determination to include some additional IT general control testing on system access, as well as just testing and reporting required more time than anticipated. So, as an example, there were 11 findings and 21 recommendations that took a little bit longer to draft than we initially planned for. There we go. Moving on to current engagements. The sheriff's office, that's right now, it's close to finishing up the field work, and most of the findings have an initial draft started. I'm estimating a public release to be revised to around mid-November. As you can see, also the budget versus actual time there is a difference. The audit plan initially budgeted for the initial audit plan initially budgeted for 600 hours. During planning, we actually estimated that it would probably be closer to about 730 to achieve the audit objectives. However, similar to clerk of courts, we have run into where the testing time is taking a little bit longer than anticipated. Right now, we're guessing at about 850 hours. The ARPA engagement, that's actually started ahead of schedule. We're currently in the fieldwork phase. As of right now, I don't anticipate any changes in the reported public release date there or estimate any overage in the budget hours.
Josh, on that one, have we started getting, are they giving stuff as requested to you guys? Are we getting anything that causes some concern?
No,
in
not at
terms of
all. So, I
not
mean, so far, I think last I heard, we were at about 60% where we had received responses, and it was still like a week before the due date. So I know Jeremy will do his due diligence and follow up, and we'll let you know if we have any issues. All right, moving forward, the issue tracker, we just went over the reports. Right now, we're still conducting testing for the second half of 2025. That testing will be reported at the first quarter of 2026 meeting. The risk assessment, that's moving forward as well. Don't anticipate any expected delays or anticipated budget overages. The next project on the list that we're currently working on is the continuous monitoring, which is a new effort in 2025. Procedures were developed for various testing topics, categories, including cash collections, HR payroll, employee reimbursements, and P cards. So those are the 4 efforts that we've kind of moved forward with. Cash collections, we completed an initial review of Treasury. Internal controls were inquired on and assessed for design, and a random cash count occurred. So no significant issues were identified during the review. Results were reported to the Treasury along with 2 minor recommendations. We assigned them a P3 and a P4. We'll include that as part of our follow-up process, and we anticipate there's potential that we might hit some more locations in 2025.
Josh, the continuous monitoring reviews is the line item where we're recouping the most hours versus budget.
It is.
And I'm just curious, is that, have we lowered our scope, or have we been that much more efficient? How are we have our confidence level that we're going to be able to save those hours so that we're covering down largely on those that were overruns?
Yeah, so 2 things there. I think some of the reviews we've done have gone a little quicker than what we expected. One, we wanted to at least try to get to at least one area of each item, a continuous monitoring effort we were doing. So we're going to get to that point. Unfortunately, with some of the overages in the other audits, that seems to be the area, and project excellence seems to be the area where we have to take hours from. So reducing the number of cash collection points that we'll get to this year, we've gotten to 1 so far. I was hoping to get to 2 or 3. So that might go into trying to make sure that we get through all of our plan, and also get the audits done timely. So that's unfortunately, that's where the hit that it's going to come from is partially because of that reason.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right, Corey, anything else under agenda item 7H?
No, unless there's any other
That
questions.
covers it, huh? Okay. Rocking and rolling. Is there any public comment unrelated to the agenda?
No.
Oh, okay. Our next meeting is scheduled for December 18th. Sounds like it's going to be a very full agenda between what has been identified as rolling forward to that meeting. Anybody that's got any problems with that date that we ought to know about sooner than later that would help assure that we've got a solid quorum. Okay, good, then it looks like we hopefully will be moving forward with that date. All right, I'll just ask, anything else that, on anybody's mind before we have a motion to adjourn?
Just a quick question, quick follow-up to the financial statement, that exit conference. Brian had mentioned a couple of hot issues for local governments deal with House Bill 96, which requires local governments to sign off on having a cybersecurity program and a business continuity plan. Is Cuyahoga County okay with, in compliance with that? And that also dovetails into the audit plan. You know, there's we've deferred the IT security audit. Does that interconnect with the state required cybersecurity program that the county should have that is reviewing that work?
So, yeah, I'll talk on our side. I don't know if, Mike, if you have
Okay.
anything to add, but, so we meet with, our IT security officer and the, CIO for the county, monthly. And so that's part of this audit that we're doing too, the security audit. So I think, Josh, you were at the last one where this topic was brought up, with our security, and they're working on getting us something in writing on how they're going to make sure they're implementing and complying with that House bill. I don't know if there's anything else, Josh, that he added.
As I just spent a little bit of time looking at that House bill, and what kind of perked my mind a little bit, it has to include risk assessments that
Yeah.
were made with respect to cybersecurity issues. It looked like a pretty fulsome
It is, yeah.
exercise.
No, I know that they're aware of it. They're doing everything they can to implement it. I know there's going to be something in writing to us on how they're going to implement it. But it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else to add.
I just know we've been all updating our COOP plans. We've been sending them up to the administration. So I know each department was told to update them, and that's
Okay.
happening now.
Okay, because along in the same legislation, there's discussion of a required business continuity plan, and it's got like a dozen different things where, you know, like the county would have to document what its plans are in the event of a cybersecurity attack or some other things. Like where would you do this? How would you complete this function if you were disrupted? Again, it was brought up in the closeout thing, and it just sounded like a hot issue.
If, Rich, if there's any updates during like the monthly update I send out,
Okay.
I'll make sure that that's included in
Okay,
there too.
perfect.
I recommend watching 0 Day if you want to see what can really happen in a significant cybersecurity attack, and would suggest there's nothing we could do
That's true.
in that situation. All right, anything else? Then I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second, and everybody voted yes. So thank you all for helping us get through on time today, and we did some important things, as we always do.